Steller's sea cow versus St. Kilda house mouse. Steller's sea cow was a huge sea animal that could grow to about 25 feet long. It was related to manatees and dugongs. It had thick skin and a lot of blubber, which is fat that helps keep animals warm. Sadly, Steller's sea cow became extinct a long time ago. The St. Kilda house mouse was a small mouse that lived on islands near Scotland. Scientists think it may have first survived on the Viking ships. These mice lived near people and depended on humans for food. When the people left the islands, the mice had a much harder time surviving. In this battle, both animals are very hungry. The sea cow is swimming in the cold, shallow water, trying to find kelp to eat, but there's not much food around. The mouse is also starving and is about to have babies. Suddenly, magic moves the mouse onto the back of the sea cow. At first, the mouse thinks the sea cow's back feels like a rock. Then the sea cow moves deeper into the water to grab food. The cold water washes the mouse right off and into the sea. Winner, Steller's sea cow. Saudi gazelle versus Japanese otter. The Saudi gazelle was a slim, fast animal with long, curved horns. It lived in a dry desert area. Sadly, it became extinct because of hunting and because its population got smaller and weaker over time. The Japanese otter looked a lot like other otters, with brown fur and webbed feet for swimming. It lived in rivers in Japan. It became extinct because people hunted it and because pollution made the rivers unhealthy. In this battle, a strong sandstorm is blowing in the desert. The gazelle stands with its back to the wind to protect itself. Then magic brings the otter from Japan into the middle of the desert while it's eating a fish. The otter is not used to the blowing sand. Sand gets into its wet fur and even into one of its eyes. The gazelle notices the otter, and the otter quickly decides to turn away to find rocky shelter. The winner, the Saudi gazelle. Beiji versus the Martinique giant rice rat. The beiji, also known as the Yangtze River dolphin, was a river dolphin that lived in China. It had a long snout and used echolocation, which means it made sounds and listened for echoes to figure out what was around it. The Martinique giant rice rat was a large rodent that lived on an island in the Caribbean. It was much bigger than an ordinary rat. In this battle, the giant rice rat is trying to escape a volcanic eruption when magic suddenly moves it to a rocky shoreline in China. A dog rushes by and the rat jumps into the water to get away. The beiji feels movement from the water and uses echolocation to find out where the splashing is coming from. The rat struggles in the water because its body is not built for swimming. Finally, it manages to scramble onto the rocks and hide, but the beiji has already scared it away and taken control of the area. Winner is the beiji. Thylacine versus Little Swan Island hutia. The thylacine, sometimes called the Tasmanian tiger, was a meat-eating marsupial with stripes on its back end. Even though it looked like a dog, it was actually more closely related to marsupials. The Little Swan Island hutia was a large rodent that lived on one island. It had few predators there, so it did not learn to be afraid of danger. In this battle, the thylacine is sneaking through the grasslands of Tasmania, looking for food. At the same time, a giant storm is heading towards Hutia's island. Before the storm can hit, magic moves the Hutia to Tasmania, right in front of the thylacine. The Hutia does not realize the thylacine is dangerous. Instead of running away, it stays still. The thylacine quickly attacks. Winner, the thylacine. Wild dromedary camel versus the New Zealand greater short-tailed bat. The wild dromedary camel had one hump and lived in a dry desert area long ago. It was tall and strong. The New Zealand greater short-tailed bat was one of the few native land mammals in New Zealand. It was unusual because it could crawl along the ground while searching for food. In this battle, the bat is on the ground at night when a rat attacks it. Just then, magic drops both animals into the desert near a camel during mating season. The camel is busy showing off to another camel. As part of its display, it sprays urine. The bat and rat get soaked. The bat breaks free and quickly flies away towards the cliffs. The rat is left behind, and the camel stays standing strong in the area. The winner, the wild dromedary camel. The Caribbean monk seal versus the Yalara. The Caribbean monk seal was a large seal that lived in warm waters of the Caribbean. Sadly, people hunted it for oil and meat, and it became extinct. Yalara was a small marsupial from Australia with long ears and strong claws for digging. It also became extinct. In this battle, the monk seal is resting on a beach while it molts or sheds its old skin and fur. At the same time, the Yalara is searching for food in Australia when magic suddenly sends it to the seals' beach. Yalara is surprised by the ocean and starts hopping towards the water. Then humans arrive and begin hunting the seals. Chaos breaks out as seals rush across the beach. Yalara survives the dangerous stampede, but the monk seal is in great danger because it does not react quickly enough to escape the hunters. The winner, the Yalara. Oryx versus Bramble K. Melames. The oryx was a giant, wild ancestor of today's cattle. It was tall, heavy, and very powerful. The Bramble K. Melames was a small rodent that lived on a tiny island. It became extinct because rising seas and storms destroyed the plants that it needed to eat. In this battle, the Bellamese is starving on its island when magic moves it into a green grassy place where an oryx is grazing. The Melamese is amazed to see so much food and starts eating right away. But the oryx is huge and does not even notice the tiny rodent at first. As its giant hoof comes down, the Melamese quickly dodges and escapes the danger. Because the oryx keeps control of the area and the Melamese run off, the oryx wins. Winner, the oryx. Falkland Island wolf versus the sea mink. The Falkland Island wolf was not really a wolf, even though its name says wolf. It was a unique animal related to other South American dog like animals. The sea mink was a larger relative of the American mink. It was a strong hunter that lived near the ocean and ate sea animals. In this battle, the Falkland Island wolf is searching for breakfast near a penguin colony. At the same time, the sea mink is hunting by the ocean when magic brings it to the Falkland Islands. Both animals spot the same young penguin. The sea mink reaches it first and grabs it. When the Falkland Island wolf gets close, the sea mink growls and shows its sharp teeth. The wolf decides it's safer to back away and hunt somewhere else. The winner, the sea mink.